a guest with me today that we are going to be talking about strong women, international strong women. So you definitely won't want to miss this. Um, this is what is this? Yeah, I'm doing really good this morning. My brain is not ready for this year. The year started and my brain is not ready for this year. You may hear birds in the background, my husband on the tractor, or the children playing with the dogs. This is Real Life on the Prairie with Donita Fogelman of prairie-trail.com. Weathering the dust storms of life with God's divine help. And I have with me today Myrna Buckles. I have had you on the podcast before.
Yes.
So I'm excited to have you on again. And do you want to introduce yourself and tell people where you are?
Certainly. And I'm happy to be back. Thank you, Donita. I just happen to be by God's divine grace in Nicaragua. My husband and I moved here full time in August, and here we are. So in
Wow.
Nicaragua, yeah, it's warm here. Well, you're possibly cold.
It was 26 degrees whenever I got up this morning, and it's supposed to get up to 70 today. So we'll see.
Well, that's
Yeah.
quite a climb.
It's Oklahoma, and we're under a fire watch. So welcome to January in Northwest Oklahoma. It's just
Right.
how crazier can you get? And you're
That's
from Southeast Oklahoma originally, right?
correct.
Uh,
And I was going to say, as unpredictable as your weather is, our weather is very predictable where we are right now.
Now, are you in a rainy season?
We're in the dry season. The dry season
Yeah.
just started, and it will go until May. And then in May, the rainy season will start, and we will get lots and lots of rain.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, we can hope and pray and wish and cross our fingers and knock on wood and all that kind of stuff. And of course, the phone's gonna ring. Hey guys, like I said, real life on the prairie. We never know what's gonna happen. I had Catherine on earlier, and I put her on speakerphone, and just the whole family talks to her whenever she calls. So I
Yeah.
forgot I had the phone close. That figures. Now, we were going to talk about strong women. That's kind of been my focus for January 2023. Because there's been a big thing on the internet with the younger girls and the whole strong woman thing. And Catherine and I ended the year out with a podcast talking about the strong woman issue and how I don't think the young ladies today really understand what they want whenever they're wanting to concentrate on strong woman.
Right.
And I'd like to kind of start with your mom. Some of the stories that you have given, your mom was amazing.
She was. Yes, she was. And you know what? Never that I'm aware of did she say, I want to be a strong woman. She just was. She just was. And she was put in situations that she chose how to behave. When she met my dad and went to visit his folks for the first time, my grandmother gave her a hot water bottle to put on her feet to keep them warm. And she put it on her stomach because she was so nauseated when she went to bed that night.
Oh no.
She was so nervous. And I don't know if my dad had talked his folks up or what, but the other thing was he had sent them a letter saying he was bringing a tomato home. And in those days, that was a wonderful woman, I guess, or something. And they had not picked up the mail. So my dad and mom, before they were married, stopped in town, got my grandparents' mail and took it to him, and his letter was in there.
Oh my goodness. So they weren't looking for it at all.
No.
Oh, oh wow. And then your dad what sounded like he was a pretty wild ride.
Oh yeah, very wild ride. The man was always experimenting or trying something. He loved to experiment with things and find out, well, can I do this? And, one year I think we collected maple syrup. Well, that was a pretty low key one, right? But then another year he's like, let's catch crawfish out of the creek and cook them. And so he and I trapped a bunch of crawfish and cooked them. And yeah, she didn't want any part of that at all, at all. But I think it just amazes me because really she was a farm girl from southwestern Oklahoma, or actually, yeah, western Oklahoma, we'll say, not too far from you. And she was not used to wild game or anything like that. And he was constantly bringing wild game home for her to cook and taught her how to cook this wild game. And she was game for it. That's my pun for the
Yeah,
day.
there you go. Oh my goodness. The camping and hunting trips. I mean,
Hmm.
how many young mothers today could do that?
Exactly. And for him, he thought it was a vacation. He took his vacation in the winter, in the dead of winter, and took us to Colorado camping. And he went deer hunting and left mom with the three kids while he was just off having a
And
blast.
this wasn't
And
a glamping situation at all, right?
no, no, no. No, no fancy camper, none of that. We were in an old army tent, and eventually he put in a wood heater, but they made sure we all had these quilted insulated pajamas and army style sleeping bags. So we had warm things to sleep in. But can you imagine? First off, there's altitude sickness, there's hungry kids, there's fighting kids. Can you imagine being in that situation, not having anyone else there with you as an adult, and then trying to cook on top of it and deal with kids and just the whole thing? And one of her favorite things to say, and my dad's name was Lewis, she would say, Lewis. And so I can still hear that in my head. But she generally just dug in and did it. And I don't know how. I really don't. And I really didn't realize until in later years how much she really did and how strong she really was. And she just was an amazing woman, and very different than someone deciding, I'm going to be a strong woman. She just was. And she was crazy about my dad, and they were a good pair. And it took all of her gumption to deal with him. And he just was a handful.
We've got so much noise going on in the background here. I'm so sorry. Um, it's a busy household. You have transferred to serving some amazingly strong women down there in
Yes.
Nicaragua. And
Yes.
I'm just amazed at the stories. And I know you could probably go on and on and on and on.
Yeah, you want
But
to be careful getting me started.
getting you started. I mean, I could just sit here and listen to the stories and just listen. I love hearing about it. It's so inspiring to hear what they go through and what they have to
Mm.
struggle through and how they rise above their circumstances. Um, what's your favorite one? Your favorite story?
I have two or three. One in particular was a lady who makes tortillas. And when I did the first seminar with them, I challenged them to go do some research, find out what the competition was in their neighborhood, find out what they could do to improve their business that they already had. She was making tortillas every day on an open fire. And she actually went to one of her friends and found out that she could double the amount of tortillas she could cook in the same amount of time and double her income with a propane griddle. And that griddle we purchased for her for $100. And
And
it
what was she
instantly
cooking them on before that?
an open fire
Just an open fire doing these tortillas.
with they have big griddles that they set on the open fire. Mhm.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and so there's heat, there's smoke, and all of that that goes with the open fire. But the propane griddle, um, she instantly doubled what she was doing. She even doubled her income. And we didn't know it until later. What we found out later was that her husband had always told her, "You're only married to me for my wallet." And after she got this propane griddle, she started stashing her money in a shoebox so that she never had to ask him for money again. That was her goal. And it changed her entire demeanor. It completely changed her confidence, how she held herself, how she walked. And it was such an amazing transformation that I never even considered was going to happen. I had no idea. But just what, and would you believe the propane griddle, Donita, and the propane tank with propane in it was $100. And that's all it took. But she did the research, she did the work of selling the tortillas. It's an
Now,
amazing, she's
what
an
did what did that do to their relationship?
um that I don't know. I
Oh,
know that it made her far more independent, and that is not popular here necessarily in a
you
marriage
have to
relationship.
think that it had to have taken a little bit of a load off of him. I mean, supporting a
I would
family,
think so.
yeah, you
Mhm.
think so. Supporting a family is hard, especially
It
these,
is hard.
no matter where you're at.
Mm.
And if she's not, draining on that, in any
Mhm.
way, then you would hope. We
Right.
don't. I just I like to support, the family, and the family dynamics can be so difficult. And a woman being
And
dependent is good to a point. I was independent, almost toxic independent of
mhm.
I can do anything. I can do whatever. I don't need your help. I'll
Yeah.
get in there and do whatever it is. And that wasn't always a good thing, and it wasn't always healthy.
Right.
It definitely wasn't healthy for me. Trying
Mhm.
to be strong, that strong woman. Because I had
Right.
made up my mind I was going to be strong no matter, in spite of, and
Yes.
that ends up causing, mental health issues and uh, health issues in general, trying to do it all. And so many women, we just try to do it all. We try to take care of the kids, we try to do the bookkeeping, we try to do all the housekeeping, we try to do everything. And that's not healthy. But
It's
a healthy independence of, hey, I can help my husband bring in the
Mm,
income. I can do this. That can be so freeing for both sides.
yes. And I know that it really encouraged her daughters. She wanted her daughters to have the same opportunities because she saw what it did for her, and she wanted them to have that same opportunity.
Yeah, I
And
remember Paul whenever I published my book, and I it was kind of trepidation in the process. I mean, I had people begging me, would you please put this in a book so that we can have this information too? And I had just done it as a study with the children. But I'm like, okay, everybody wants this in a book. I'll put this in a book. And so I did. And my husband was like, I wish you had done something like this earlier so that children could see you succeed because they
right.
need to see that. And it did. It made a huge difference. Catherine ended up publishing her books, and yeah, Kristen took off with her business. Kylie has a business. Leanna's getting started. I mean, it's made a huge difference on the children.
Well, and I'll tell you the biggest impact my mom had, I think, on me has to do with serving. And she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in, I think it was like August of one year. And she died the following June. But during that time, Donita, so many people brought food to them and took care of them. And even 2 years after she died, people were still bringing meals to my dad because of their service to others. And I think that alone really influenced me and really encouraged me to continue serving. She really, both of them did serve, but she really served people and helped people. And that was a big impact on me.
Yeah, that's huge. My mother-in-law was huge about serving people. And
Mhm.
anytime there was a funeral, a wedding, a shower, a graduation, she was there doing things, giving gifts, making meals, doing whatever. And she really impressed upon me because I was very young whenever Paul and I got married. Um, she really impressed upon me how important that is, so that
Yeah,
not just because of this, but serving in and of itself, but whenever you need it, then those people are there for you eventually too. It's a
right.
community thing. And we've kind of lost that with Facebook. Everybody says happy birthday on Facebook or happy anniversary or asking for
Mhm.
prayer and stuff. And it's wonderful that we can do that. But we've missed some of the community,
Mhm.
the hands-on community. And I've
Right,
really noticed the difference. I've definitely, because I've fallen off the bandwagon. I've had years that I haven't sent holiday cards, even that much. I don't
right.
get invited to I don't get invited to showers or graduations or anything anymore, because I
Right,
haven't shown up and done the things,
right.
so yeah.
They forget you're interested in them even,
Hmm.
But for people to continue bringing food to my dad for 2 years after she
That's
died,
just amazing.
it was. And of course, he reveled in it.
Now, how do you I bet he did. I mean, I bet he did. I know some of the guys out here, oh, they love the attention. They
Mhm.
love the attention.
And as
Um,
his daughter, of course, I was trying to return containers, trying to figure out whose container
whose
was who.
containers? Yeah, I like using the aluminum foil pans. That way
Yes.
they can just throw them away and they don't have to worry about getting it back to me. Um, how has your mother's attitude and influence with you growing up How has that affected how you handle the ministry down there in Nicaragua?
It takes a fairly adventurous spirit to do what we do. And every day is an adventure for sure. Just driving somewhere is an adventure. And I think because she was so willing to come alongside my dad and to just go all in on his adventures, it really helped me to see that I could do that too. And for the longest time, I did so much of that alone. And Dan is here with me now, and we put in a really long day yesterday. And at 9 o'clock at night, we were getting ready to come back to where we're staying right now. And I was looking at him in awe, Donita, in awe, because this is not his gig. And he will tell you that. Even though we came here as a couple, he came here because of me. And he put his all in yesterday. And we had an hour drive back here, and it's not easy. Neither one of us see that good in the dark, right? And I was just in awe because he was soaking wet with sweat and he was still going strong. He didn't complain. He carried forward. And I don't know, that doesn't really answer your question other than we couldn't do it without each other. And that's
Maybe you
how
appreciate his sacrifice a little bit more after seeing what your mom went through.
I do. And I'm a lot like my dad, I'm probably always getting us into bad situations or something. But it just made me realize how much he has sacrificed and how much I appreciate it and love him for it. And I think my big takeaway from that is God puts us together for a purpose. And I saw that purpose last night in a huge, huge way. And I was just really thankful and blessed that he was willing to give it his all yesterday. And I even was complaining around some. And just his attitude just really helped me.
That's awesome. I mean, that goes to show for me that a strong woman, a truly strong woman, appreciates the strong men in her life. It's not
Right.
just a standalone, I'm strong, I can do it all type thing. It's a strength of character
It
that
is.
so many people miss.
And that is not something that you're born with. It's developed over time.
Right,
It's
right.
it is something you learn.
And I would even add that it's something that grows with your faith as well.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because with every bit of strength that you gain over time, there was a trial that strengthened you. And if you don't have
Absolutely.
faith, you're more apt to become bitter instead of strong.
So true.
Yeah,
So true.
definitely. So, for any young ladies that are aspiring to be a strong woman, what would be your advice?
My advice would be to find a great mentor, and especially one that's strong in their faith, and work with them, study them, learn what they're doing. My mom was such a great influence on me, and it could be your mother that is your mentor, or it could be a friend or a sister, but find a mentor who can guide you through some of those things.
That's perfect advice. I've had so many in my life between grandmothers And my mother was a strong woman in some ways. And then some of the ladies in the community were amazing. And being willing to open up their homes and their hearts for me and our children to learn from them was wonderful. And I've gained so much out of that. I think mentorship is definitely key. I absolutely agree. Well, there is a way that people can give and help with the ministry and
Yes.
help provide some of those like cooking utensils and things for these ladies that are struggling down there in Nicaragua. So we will make sure that we have that in the comments, that information. Um, and of course, subscribe and comment and like and all that good stuff and leave
Yeah.
a review. Love that. And visit prairiedusttrail.com. And we've got the new magazine coming out. So if you're interested in that, yes, Myrna's going to be helping with that. She's going to be giving some of that great information from her dad and all of the things that she grew up with. I'm very excited about that. She's one of our contributors. So check out prairiedusttrail.com, and right there up at the top, it's got the magazine button. So we would love for you guys to subscribe. And we will also have Myrna's information in her with her article in her bio in the magazine. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Myrna, for being on again. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Donita.